Welcome to Ohio University's Intramural Sports Floor Hockey Captains video. This video, along with the Floor Hockey Rulebook, will help you pass your Captain's Quiz. Before we get into the sport-specific rules, we're going to go over some general policies and procedures for intramural sports. Listed here is our contact information. We are located in the Ping Recreation Center, and our office is open Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop by, call us, or shoot us an email. So what are your responsibilities as a captain? As a captain, we expect that you are familiar with all of our rules and policies and that you inform your teammates of all of these rules. You also need to check the eligibility of all your team members and make sure that your team on IM League meets the player minimum. And finally, as the captain, you need to set the example of sportsmanship and make sure that you are respectful of other participants and the IM staff. Here at OU, we have a couple of different league layouts. In every league and sport, we will offer Co-Ed A, Co-Ed B, men's and women's leagues. Within these different variations, we offer competitive leagues and recreation leagues. Competitive leagues have 3 regular season games and a playoff afterwards. In recreational leagues, you just have 5 regular season games and no playoffs. Game time is forfeit time. This means that if your team does not arrive on time or you do not have enough players to start the game, your team will be issued a forfeit. You can also be issued a forfeit if you are caught using an ineligible player, or if your team receives 3 yellow cards in the same game, you will receive a forfeit. Once again, game time is forfeit time, but you can default from games if you know that you will not be there. In order to default, the captain can notify us by 4 p.m. the day of your game, or by 4 p.m. on Fridays if you have a Sunday game. You can do this in person or through email. It's important to note that we do not accept defaults over the phone. If your team does forfeit a game and you are in a competitive league, you will need to pay a $20 reinstatement fee by the day before the bracket selection in order to participate in the playoffs. So who is eligible to play? Any Athens campus student enrolled in 1 credit hour is eligible to participate in intramural sports, and any faculty and staff member can participate if they purchase a faculty and staff pass. In competitive leagues, there are restrictions for club athletes and varsity athletes. If you are trying to participate on a team in a similar sport than what your club or varsity team is, the competitive leagues can only have 2 club athletes per roster, and varsity athletes cannot play in competitive leagues. Once again, this is only if it's a similar sport. Roster additions must happen online before the game begins. Players need to purchase a membership pass and add themselves to your roster before the game begins. You can purchase 3 types of membership passes: an annual pass, which will let you play any sport for the whole academic year, a semester pass, which lets you play any sport for that semester, or a season pass, which lets you play any sport for that specific season. For competitive teams, it's important to know that your rosters are locked after your last regular season game and no more additions are allowed. Each team does have a few responsibilities. Like we just mentioned, all players must have an IM Leagues account. You should try to arrive to the game 15 minutes beforehand. You must bring a government-issued ID, a photo ID, with you to your games. All players are required to wear appropriate footwear, which includes not wearing metal cleats. We also ask that all players bring a light and a dark colored jersey, but no gray, as that can be confused as light or dark. That way, if your team shows up wearing the same color as the other team, you'll already have a backup jersey to change into. Please also review the list of illegal equipment below, and note that jewelry is not accepted in any intramural sports. You are also not allowed to tape the jewelry, so please just do not wear it. Sportsmanship is very important in intramural sports. Each game you will receive a sportsmanship grade, which is an A through an E. We then use this grade and calculate it like a GPA to find out what your sportsmanship grade really is. For competitive teams, you need to have a 2.5 to make the playoffs, and rec teams a 2.5 to stay in your league. Captains, it is your responsibility at the end of the game to approach our staff and find out what grade they gave you so that you know if it's entered right onto imleagues.com or not. You can protest a few things in intramural sports: eligibility, sportsmanship, and rule misinterpretations. If you protest a rule misinterpretation, it has to happen at the field before the next dead ball. And if you protest your eligibility or sportsmanship, you may protest it at the field or by 4 p.m. the next day in writing to our office. All floor hockey games will be held in the Ping Recreation Center, specifically in Area A. All of our floor hockey leagues are open, which means that you can have any composition of male to female players that you would like. Just keeping in mind that it's 5 on the court at once, which is 4 in a goalie, but you need a minimum of 4 players to start the game. This is a picture of our court in Area A. The red line serves as our midline, the red dots serve as our face-off spots, and the red squares serve as our creases in front of our goals. Besides all of the normal intramural equipment rules, what is specific to floor hockey is that goalies must wear long pants because you are wearing leg pads. So since we require you to wear leg pads, we ask that you wear long pants under them. Goalies are also allowed to have gloves, however, it cannot be a ice hockey goalie glove. So you could use a baseball glove or a normal hockey player glove, but not a ice hockey goalie glove. In order to score in floor hockey, the ball must completely cross the goal line. If their goal differential is greater than 5 within the final 2 minutes, the clock will not stop. And of course, there's no offsides in floor hockey, and you will switch ends after each period. Each game will consist of 3 10-minute periods with a running clock until the last 2 minutes of the third period only, and there's about a 1-minute intermission between each period. You have 1 timeout for the entire game, and there will be no overtime in the regular season of competitive leagues and no overtime at all in recreation games. Substitutions for floor hockey are on the fly, and the player being replaced must leave the court before the new player enters. If you don't leave before the new player enters, you will incur a 2-minute minor penalty. Please tell your players and remind them constantly not to hop over our walls. This is a safety hazard, and we will issue a 5-minute major penalty. So once again, do not hop over the walls. Use the doors on the court. Anytime we have a penalty in floor hockey, we will have a face-off at the nearest face-off spot, and the team that had the penalty will go down a player for either 2 minutes for a minor penalty or 5 minutes for a major penalty. If the team up a player scores during a minor penalty, the team down a player then can go back to full strength, but major penalties, they do not go back to full strength until after the 5 minutes is up. If you have any questions, feel free to stop by the Competitive Sports office. Good luck this season.